No, you hit on a really good point. The audience can certainly tell when it's coming from a place that's a very love for the medium, the genre, or movies in general. The audience can tell. Because when I'm watching different things, and I can chalk this up to personal taste, but if I see something that's just bitter and cynical and really negative, it does turn me off, because that more so comes from a place of you just seem like you don't like movies. You seem like you should be just doing something else than watching something like this and just having it totally ruin your day. The audience can certainly tell the difference between something like that and what you do on your show with the sketches and everything, and dropping knowledge of all these other genres, all of these other movies, and coming from a very fun, upbeat place about a lot of these movies. And also on my show as well, where it's very much a satire of that kind of thing, this pretentious movie snob character that is nitpicking in such a cartoonish way, it's not real. It wouldn't
use that, Mike.
I was gonna say, is it just me? Because here's our vlog, so I'm I don't know if this is just me or
No, it's a bad cable.
Okay, gotcha. Crap, what was I saying about my ears? When it's the cinema snob sitting there and cartoonishly, in a really big highbrow kind of way, going oh, well, the credits for the CG porno are hardly David Lean-esque. That's not real. It's making fun of that kind of thing. So like I said, I can certainly chalk that up to taste of the viewer, but I think that coming from a place of actual love of the genre and love of movies is very, very important, especially with how much negativity you can find online and on YouTube as well.
I think too, when you're talking about with the passion, you do every once in a while, everyone's got to be inspired by something in different sources and stuff like that, and that's fine. You do sometimes find someone that's well, I'm going to do this because this person did it. Again, you don't sense their passion. You sense, I want to do this because that person made it big doing that. So someone will do, we've seen a lot of imitators of all this, certainly a lot. And James Rolfe certainly has too. And you can tell when it's they just want to do what that person's doing. They don't really love it. They're not doing it because they have
anything new to it.
Yeah, they don't have anything really interesting to say, or they're trying to sound like they have something interesting to say, but again, it feels kind of forced. So again, I think that that's why I always say do it because you love it. Because if you're going to be in a spot where you don't really like it, you'll usually at least bring something you like to it, or find a way. Because a lot of people have to work a job they don't want to run. We all have. But you bring something of joy to it, or maybe you work on something else you love or something. So it's that passion has to shine through, in my opinion, in order to be successful. There has to be something you kind of care about in there, or else people will usually see through it. Cool. Other questions here? Yeah.
But I think that is kind of all of you in your own different areas of expertise have a foot in both worlds. You have a foot in another world. Malcolm, you have a foot in the acting, the SAG world, and Nostalgia Critic, and Channel Awesome. And I think that's what brings more to it. That's what brings that richness, or that multi-layered.
No, it's just me.
Okay. But don't you think, all of you have something to bring to bear to that. I would imagine you and Brad consider yourselves filmmakers as much as you are celebrities, online celebrities. You have a foot in both worlds.
Well, I'll say this too. I think, I don't know, I think you probably agree. You look at film different when you make one too.
Yeah.
I've never done anything, definitely not like a Spielberg or even like a David Lynch or anything like that, but I've worked on productions, or even like the reviews are kind of productions. It's not just sitting in front of camera and talking, which has its place too. We do that as well. But we also try to make them productions, even though they're kind of, low budget and cheesy, and there's still a production that's trying to get across a point of view and a passion and stuff like that. So I think doing that, even though the Nostalgia Critic will be really angry, in real life, I know every movie is kind of like a little miracle, because they are so difficult to get funding for and to get off the ground, and everybody that puts money into it wants to see it as a success. So they're like, well, that can't work because I don't like that, or people aren't going to like, so you got to change that. And all the people that fund the movie are going to be saying that. So to get any kind of coherent vision out is gonna be tricky. So.
And you've had both of those things happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I guess it does help because like we keep them small. I mean, that's part of why, you know, I kind of like the sort of cheesy, low budget look of like our reviews anyway. It's kind of like Monty Python-ish.
Right.
You know, like where if it looks a little too polished, people are gonna feel like they lose that connection a little bit to like the person and the opinion. So yeah, I feel like kind of combining all of that and keeping it small. I like that we never got like too crazy big. Like we're bigger than a lot of our people, don't get me wrong, but it's like we're not like whatever 13 million subscribers or something, you know, where we still keep it like, okay, this is still us going, just having fun. We have fun shooting this stuff, and you know, we make jokes even on set. It's like, yeah, do that. That's great. That's great. Oh, I love that look. Do that look. You know, and we still have enough where it's laid back enough where it's not like, oh, lots riding on this mail. A lot of people are putting money in. This person wants this note. This person wants that note. So it's kind of nice with that. But a lot of big movies do have that. So even though as a character I'll be really angry, I do know there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes. And, you know, we make fun of Joel Schumacher a lot. But what a sweetheart that guy looks like. I mean, like, you know, I like some of his movies, but most of them I don't like, and I'll make fun of them. But I'm like, what a sweet person that man seems like, you know? And I'm not gonna, you know, crap on that guy for being a good human being. Or even Keanu Reeves is having like the second renaissance. He's doing like amazing right now. But beforehand, I was like, I don't really get into his acting much or his movies, but everything I've heard about that dude, he just sounds like the most amazing human being in the world.
And Matthew Broderick.
Adam Sandler. And, you know, we make fun of his movies to death, but everybody swears by that guy. I had the director of Eight Crazy Nights contact me and say he actually loved the review I did. And he was telling me some behind the scenes stories, and he was saying that like, he's like, Adam Sandler is one of the nicest people I've ever come across. Like just on the set of the movie, you come across the anime and say, oh yeah, how's your family doing? She's doing good. Oh, she just started school. Oh, that's fantastic. And she would listen, he would listen and stuff like that. So that's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I'll make fun of the movie, but I try to leave the actor
him out of it,
you know, or the director, because they could be just really great people. You know?
Yeah, and I guess being able to have that perspective comes from, like what you said, having your foot in both worlds. It's having, you know, a sense of self-awareness. Like knowing that, you know, we're also making a production and critiquing a production at the same time. It becomes sort of meta in that way.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it keeps me humble. You know?
Well, and then what's kind of funny too is suddenly then you have critics critiquing the critics. Which again, I see as healthy, because it's like, you know, if you're gonna go out and say, oh, that person did a terrible job, he should be ashamed of himself, and somebody's saying that about you, you gotta know what it's like to take those hits too.
And you've got to know what it's like for the audience as well. So as an actor, I'm sure you're always thinking what your effect on the audience is.
Oh,
yeah.
And
there's definitely, we were talking about this a little bit, like just humor nowadays, because now's a very interesting time. You know, there's just extremes on both sides and politically and stuff, and you know, one of the things that you always hear, outrage culture trigger, being offended and stuff like that. On the one hand, it's like, I don't want to give it to that, because come on, it's a joke, and you know what kind of person I really am, you know the intent. But then there's also times, Sarah Silverman was talking about this, where she would make like inappropriate jokes, and people would laugh, but then someone would come up and be like, yeah, that was really good, because I know what you really mean, that you really are this terrible person. It's like, no, that's a joke. I'm supposed to be a dumb person. That's the idea. So there are some jokes where I go back and we were saying like, man, some of the jokes we made before that went flying out. But it's also like, I'm okay not doing some of those jokes, because it's like some people might be like, yeah, he's right, that's what I gotta do. It's like, no, he's an exaggeration. He's a character. He's supposed to be a moron. And not everybody gets the joke. So it's interesting finding that balance, because there's always gonna be someone that takes it the wrong way. But it's like, how big a percentage is that? A, how big of a percentage is going to take the wrong way, and B, how can you make it more clear what you're trying to do?
Right.
That's kind of how I felt when I was portraying the asshole cosplayer. Man, like, when the comments started coming up, like, oh, this character is so annoying. I'm like, that's the point. I mean, I even felt annoyed, like, playing the character. Like, I was starting to annoy myself, but that was
but even in that, we talk about, I think, the Deadpool 2 review.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about the fan bases, and, like, you know, a lot of people like to attack the Rick and Morty fan base. And it's like, I can't act like I don't know where they're coming from. You know, we see the McDonald's footage and stuff, but it's like, but the majority of them are totally fine. And I know tons of people that watch the show and
Steven Universe fan base.
Smart, awesome people. But there's also going to be a small minority that the echo chambers, they band together and they like to go and do stupid stuff, So we try to make it clear. It's like, yeah, we can make fun of fan bases, but we know it's not the majority.
Right.
So we try to make it clear, even though we'll take these sort of pot shots sometimes.
What we do for a living too is like it's making movies as well. Like it is beneficial in that we got a movie coming out next month, and then when we released one a couple of years ago as well. When I'm watching like the rough cut of it, a lot of what's going through my head is like, what would I be talking about if I was doing a video on this movie?
How would you critique your own?
Yeah. So that'll be some of the notes that I'll give to like our director Ryan, and sometimes like Ryan might be like, I don't know. I think we should take that out. And I'll be like, dude, trust me. Trust me, leave that in.
Cool. Other questions we have here. Yes, Parent.
Yeah. When you write the scripts, what's the average number of times you have to watch the movie to get a script out of it?
It varies. Sometimes, so what I started doing
What'd you say?
with, I have like what I call these editorial reviews, where every other week I used to do an editorial.
Kind of, yeah.
And I'm like, let me try doing like a straightforward review, just not with cast and everything.
What do you think of doing
the
in
way I
editing?
did that is that I get a movie I've never seen before, and I would put it on, and I would write the review as I'm watching it. So I'm like, so the movie begins with, well, what happens here? That happens, okay. And then something really weird happens.
I watch the
comment
thing
on it.
while
I'll
I'm
pause,
writing the review,
I'll think
too.
of a joke, and sometimes it comes really fast, sometimes it's a really long time. I'll get the joke, and then I'll play more, and I'll be like, and then this happens, and this happens, so it's like the live reaction actually really works with the format I have, because I'm responding to it, and comedically that just works better too. So that I watch it, probably once to write it. And then I guess you could argue again while editing it. I'm looking at the footage while editing it. But then for the usual reviews, we have our first viewing, that you see, we watch it and we shout jokes and stuff. Then I watch it again to sort of, really think about, okay, do I want to go more into that joke? Do I want to skip that joke? Does this one work? Do I want to turn this into a character? Do I want to turn this into a song? I let it sit for a bit. And then again, when editing, you could argue I watch it again. So about 2 to 3 times.
It's to do a snob episode is a 2-day process on my end. It's 1 day to watch the movie, take my notes, write the episode, and when I get halfway through the movie, I take the notes that I already have and write the first half. When it's a linear video, when it's one like 1941 or the one I got coming up on Hollywood Nights, that's different. I write it after I watch the whole thing. But then I write the first half, and if something comes up later, I add it to it, then I watch the second half and write that. Then I film it. The next day is editing. The next day I just spent editing the video. So yeah, when it's something more complicated like like that has sketches or something like that in it, like when we did Dear Santa.
Dear Santa.
The Passion of the Christ, definitely. That was a little longer than 2 days. There's the extra day to get all the syrup out of Rob's clothes. But it's, with the show I've been doing so long, I got pretty much the scheduling down to a science at this point. I pretty much know exactly how long it's gonna take to do one. So yeah, it's just a couple days on that show.
And what's funny too, I forget if you do this or not, but when I'm writing for the actors, it's a straightforward script like any other script. When it's writing just for myself, like I'm gonna talk in front of the camera, it is literally, there's no spaces, no paragraphs, it is just words. And 3 or 4 pages of just words and no indents or anything like that, no notes or anything like that, because I just remember, for whatever reason, okay, this is said on camera, this is not, I cut to this clip here, and then blah, blah, blah. And then do yours look?
Mine are, when it's like, the Dear Santa one or the Passion one, that's in script format. But when it's a regular one, it's in paragraphs, and I do make my on-camera stuff bold, and then I have a little asterisk where a clip is going to be, largely because I'll take, average, it's probably in about 8 paragraphs. So I'll take that first paragraph and be like, okay, now I'm gonna hunt for all of these clips and footage and my on-camera parts, put those together. Then I'll assemble the second paragraph, then I'll assemble a third. It kind of, for me anyway, it kind of keeps it from being like really monotonous while editing, because it kind of breaks it up a little bit. But I could see writing it like that too. You know, like I totally could. Yeah, like I totally get that. Like the whole it's like stream of consciousness basically.
I love whenever your head blocks half of her face, all I see is the button looking at you.
Yeah, that's like the demon from Insidious on the other side.
Cool, other questions here. Let's do,
This is kind of for all of you, but what was the funnest review you guys did, or what was the most challenging one you guys did?
Man, the funnest, that's always tough for me to think of. There's so much fun to do. You know, just top of my head, I go to the Nutcracker one, the last Christmas one.
God.
But that just has so many people I love working with in there. And like everyone I sent out like to do a cameo, I'm like, well, I'll send it out to just all the people I like working with, knowing like I'm making 5 or 6, you know, back. And like everyone said yes. I think there's like 1 or 2 people that are just like, oh, I can't, I'm whatever, out of town, I can't get it. But like pretty much everyone said yes. So that really is like one of those reviews. I'm like, oh my God, just like everyone I love working with is in this. And that's like really, really cool. And it was just fun too, having Rachel up again. It is always a blast just having like the whole cast is in that episode. We were actually moving during that too, which was really funky. So that was really, really cool. How about you?
That was my favorite episode you guys did. Like,
Yeah, that's my all-time favorite episode.
Yeah, that was the most I'd seen of footage from that movie too. I'm like, oh, this movie's even more bizarre than I heard it was working. The most fun one that I probably had shooting for mine was probably our Passion episode. Man, when we went to the park and shot like
The
just...
people were walking by, there's where Whitney Robs are down, covered him in syrup. There's one where the car drives by and I just went, hi.
That made it in the episode too. Like, it was like, already it was the most fun one to shoot, but that's what really elevated it, was just the people just jogging by and not giving any mind to Mario and Luigi beating the crap out of this Jesus Santa hybrid. Like, and that ad-lib making it in there too, going, hey, we're killing a guy. Yeah. And being able to play that version of Mario in there too, that's like Mario crossed with like There Will Be Blood.
Syrup.
Yeah. Oh man, and Rob at the end of it just with like, because I think we shot that in the fall, so like Rob had all the syrup on him, he was just caked in leaves by the end. It was a blast.
Tamara, how about you? Yeah, Barry was that one. Oh.
It's so hard because they're all so much fun. Like, I want to say when we bring people out, like when we recently filmed with Greg Sestero, the whole time you're just like, what the hell? Greg Sestero is in the studio and we're like acting with him. This is the coolest thing in the entire world, and that's so fun. But it's gotta be the ones where we're doing something big, something clipless. Like the Mad Max or any of the Star Wars ones. I was saying this with Jim the other day, that like it's the absolute coolest thing to see. As like I actually did watch Star Wars growing up and I freaking love it. And to see a brand new Star Wars film and then to be able to like in a few days play the characters from that new Star Wars film is like, you know, 10-year-old Tamara's dream. And it's the coolest thing. So I gotta say, I think probably the Star Wars ones. They're so fun.
Because I helped Jim in making props and so on, the most challenging one that I can think of, what was the Christmas one that we made the sword for, the Christmas sword?
Rhapsody Street Kids.
Yeah. I mean, Jim
God,
was
that was
working
terrible.
on an independent production called Space Crash, and we had built corridors, we had built a cockpit with all sort of computer stuff in it, and we put it all together and then decorated it with Christmas ornaments and stuff. And that one also had, Jim did a stop motion for the Rod Puppet deal, actually, and it was, that was such a challenge too, but it came out so beautifully. And I mean, to see Malcolm and Tamara and Doug just riding in this cockpit box up front like that, and the Christmas ornaments hanging on the front of it like that, I enjoyed that one.
And I think that's the one where we're just like, we're not gonna top this.
Yeah.
Let's not do any more Christmas greetings. Now we're just gonna have a different way that it gets in the Christmas suit. The last one we did had like a variation of He-Man. The next one's gonna be like some sort of variation of Sailor Moon.
That'd be great.
And there will be mini skirts.
Tiny mini skirts.
And I gotta agree that Nutcracker one was really great. I enjoyed being on that set, but like there's so many different moments that I can think of like throughout, just filming with you guys, like just being on set that were just incredible. Like just something happens, like past the writing, like me being obsessed with oranges. Or, yeah, and the happening.
Yeah, the happening.
Or like being obsessed
What?
with
No.
flavor thing.
That was
The Halloween ones,
That was
Yeah, really crazy.
That
And
was
I love those so much. One of my favorite moments, it was like during just one of the takes on the Shining Ending series. We were out there just in this forest area, and we're doing the white face makeup, so I can hide from crazy critic. And like these people are walking by, they're just kind of like looking at us like, I'm like, I just want to go to your libraries. Like, there's a library right next to the and like that was just like a beautiful moment.
I like to see that guy on the trail.
Yeah, like he's just like jogging by. I'm like, so,
Yeah, I kind of what Tamara was saying. I think the bigger clipless ones are the most fun, I think, for me. The Mad Max review is probably the funnest just because I was like, I'm going to build all this shit no matter what. So the fact that I'm actually going to do it for review is fantastic. That probably was also the most challenging because it was a lot. We were building like interiors of cars.
Yeah, I think we took like an extra
modules.
week on it.
Yeah. Or the Chipmunk review was probably the most challenging. I had to like build and engineer a bunch of things in a short amount of time.
Because we're the real Chipmunks movie.
I had never done it before, so that was actually kind of a fun challenge.
yeah, the hot air balloon.
Yeah, exactly. I had to build like a